Hello, welcome to Seddieh's Diary. My name is Seddieh and I talk about living and thriving. It's been a minute. I would say thank you for staying around and thank you for still clicking on this video. You're very welcome here. On my channel, I talk about living and thriving and everything in between that. I'm starting a series on my YouTube channel tagged Thriving Stories. This will be a chat with immigrants and hearing them share their stories, how some of them had to start from scratch, or whatever they had to do to become settled and thrive in the community they are in. And the aim of this is just to encourage everyone in the diaspora, immigrants that are still trying to get their feet on the ground, and let everyone know that things will get better, definitely. So this video right now is going to be the first in the series. I have a special guest that's dear to my heart in today's video. Please stay tuned and thank you. Well, I would like to say that it's an honor and a great privilege to have you here. And she's just here to share her story with us. And one thing I know is that from hearing her story, hope will be reignited. You'll be encouraged to pursue your dreams. You'll be encouraged to soar and, break off whatsoever imagination limits you've put over yourself. So let me clap. Boop, boop, boop. We have here today. Mrs. Olawumi Oyetuga. That name carries power. Hey. And what I know about her, which I know might be limited, what I know about her, she has a career that she does. How she does all these things, I do not know. But she has a career. She's a nurse. She's a businesswoman. She runs a licensed daycare. She's an author. She's authored Christ in My Thoughts. It's available on Amazon. If you haven't read that book yet, please, it's available on Amazon. I'll actually put the link to the book. She's a minister and then she's a parenting coach. And yes, those are the ones I'm aware of. She's also the author of Intentional Parenting. Remember, I just mentioned she's a parenting coach. So the link to Intentional Parenting is also on there. You can give tips to your friends that are mothers or mothers to be, your fathers and fathers to be, and it will be a blessing. So please help me welcome Mrs. Olawumi.
Thank you, Seddieh. It's a pleasure to be here. Thanks for the invitation.
You're welcome. You're welcome. So before we start, one fun fact about yourself.
It's so interesting when people ask that, because one fun part about myself is I like to dance, and I think you are one of the people that have seen me dance private. Yeah, I like to dance. And once in a while, we record it and put it on my WhatsApp status. But in public, I do dance, but people say I don't. So I don't know what they're looking for. When I'm by myself, I dance the way I want to dance without feeling anybody might be judging me. I think people generally, depending on what you're looking for, I can be very quiet. I can be very talkative. I can be very funny. And I can be very serious. So whatever the atmosphere demands, I guess I can fit in.
I agree. I agree. And I think some people think you don't talk at all.
Yep. They're deceived.
Okay. And so now to our Canadian story, Canadian journey. She's been in Canada for over 15 years. I'm sure if they are giving awards, she might be one of the recipients because
18 years now.
Yeah. How many years?
18
years. I
so
mean, she's now
almost
an
2
adult.
decades. Yeah, almost 2 decades now.
Oh my goodness. Thank God. And how has it been so far? Starting from, I don't know if I can use the word from scratch when you came here and having to build and just the journey so far.
Yeah. So coming here for me, it was a mixture of, it wasn't really what I was looking forward to, in quote, but I had to look forward to it because my husband came here first. He came here and I joined him 1 year later. So it was more of you have to go meet your husband, right? And I say that because as of that time, Nigeria, my home country, was still fine, right? It was okay. People traveling out then, the question would be, oh, what are you going? Why are you going? You know, there wasn't that rush to get out of Nigeria. And to me, it was also leaving the known to come to the unknown. So that was scary. And I came in with a 5-month-old baby. So it was a big shift for me from coming from where you had a job, you had your own house, you know, you had a house help, you had things going. I mean, to come in here, and my husband was a full-time international student, graduate student. So definitely funds were limited. And I already knew I couldn't work when I got here. So it was like, how are we going to survive? So it was a mixed feeling coming to Canada for me as of that time. Yeah.
Okay. When you came eventually, how did you decide on what you wanted to do? So this question now has different parts because you do different things. Yeah. So we'll start from career-wise. How did you decide? Yeah, and what happened? What made you get to the point where you say, okay, this is what I want to do? Did you try to work in some places? Did you experience any form of rejection before deciding, okay, I want to, do nursing, for instance? And after the nursing, if you can please, if you don't mind, talk also about, the business part of it. At what points and why?
Okay. So for me, I say to people that come to me to ask about should they be pursuing nursing or not, I said to them, my case is different. Please don't copy me. Okay. So this is a background story. When I finished high school, I was a science student, but I didn't have chemistry and physics as part of my result, but I had biology. So I could have gone to nursing school. I actually had 2 admissions to nursing school in different cities. But for whatever reason, I just decided, I don't want to do nursing. So I decided to go to another school and do business administration. And the first 2 years were okay. The last 2 years of that program, I realized I made a mistake. And for viewers that might be watching that are from West Africa, Nigeria specifically, as of back then, it wasn't really easy to just decide and go back and resit for GCE when you've already done 2 years of school, because you're trying to, make up a subject that was lacking. And the unfortunate thing was, when I graduated high school, you could get into School of Nursing with biology only as your science. But fast forward to 3 years later that I started thinking I should have done nursing. Now they needed chemistry. So there was no way I could go back. I couldn't even tell my parents. So that's the background story. So when applying for visa to come to Canada came up, part of my prayer would be, God, I know I made a mistake, studying what I studied. If you give me a second chance, if I get the opportunity to leave this country, I think I would like to pursue nursing. So when that visa came through, I got here. Like I said, my husband was a graduate student. So, and we had a child, right? We have a 5-month-old child. So school was not in the picture for me at all. We needed him to finish school, apply for permanent residency, because paying for tuition for international students is like, cutthroat. So I had to wait for that. Then he started working. And then by then we've had a second child. So then it was like, okay, should we have the third child? I'm like, ha. If I'm going to go to school, I think I should go now. If I wait till I have the third child, I don't think I can see myself going to school with 3 children. So anyway, decision had to be made. We had to backtrack and all that. And then I ended up in school. So my first year of Arts and Science, declare your major, I already knew what I wanted to do. So I made sure I followed, I went to the counselor to make sure I was doing the electives that I would need when I get into the College of Nursing. And I'm moving faster now, because towards the end of the first year of Arts and Science, I'd applied to the College of Nursing. And I'll add on to this, if you're stuck anywhere and what you need to do, you have the opportunity to do something to correct it. Don't look at how difficult it will be. Because as a mother of 2 children, and my children were 3 years and 1 year old when I started school here in Canada. So I had to take GED chemistry because I still needed chemistry to get into nursing. So I had to take chemistry as an evening class. So I will be in school during the day, taking my first year of arts and science. And then in the evening, twice a week, I believe, if I'm correct now, I would go to another place to go do the chemistry.
Chemistry, yeah.
And God helped me. God helped me. And that's why, it's always good to know when God is with you in something. It will be difficult, but there will be that inner strength that will keep you going because you'll be on the right track. So I knew I was on the right track. So even though it was stressing, I knew God was with me. So, fast forward to now, I've been a graduate of, I've been a nurse for going to 11 years now. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, going to 11.
Wow. Something that stood out for me now as you were sharing is the fact that you knew what you wanted and you went for it. This is not to talk down on anyone that, it has done the opposite, but sometimes the case is people just relocate and say, oh, what's moving, they need nurses, nursing is moving. I am not blaming them, I understand very well, but yes, we should consider those factors, but more importantly, what do you want as a person? What do you really want? Because I see that you noticed this right from back home, and this dream or this seed did not die, and that's what has become like a tree right now, and that is amazing. Wow, thank you so much. And the nugget you were dropping as well, thank you so much, Ma. So now we'll just go to the business part of it.
Sure. So how did business come into the picture? So my husband loves being in business. So currently, after he graduated university for his master's, he worked in a bank for maybe 3 years. I'm trying to remember correctly now. And all through those number of years that he worked there, you could see the restlessness in him. He needed something he could control, something that could be his own time. And also, I guess most importantly, because he was pastoring a church, and it was a growing church. So his attention was needed a lot more. There were things that needed to be done ministerially and all that, and there were conflict. And then they started working Saturday at the bank, and they were even thinking of starting to work on Sundays, So there was all those conflicts going on for him. So he had pulled out of, being the 9-to-5 job person. So he had been in business for a number of years, and every time we'll be like, you need a business, you need something else by the side, don't just depend on one income. What if? And, the pressure was there because I'm a nurse to start a seniors, home, a care home, a nursing home. But every time he talks about it, when someone is telling you about, maybe someone is telling you about the food that you really don't like, how your tummy just turns and you're like, so every time he mentions, I'm like, no, it's not sitting well with me. Just give me time, I'll figure it out. So all of a sudden one day I was just like, you know what, when we first moved here and I couldn't work because back then there were limited jobs for people on visitor visa anyway. Even international students really couldn't work back then. So the only jobs that were available there, I believe, were from probably Tim Hortons and McDonald's, and they were mostly night jobs. So my husband would have gone to school all day long, right? Then he comes back home, and I'm going to leave a 5-month-old baby with him to go work at night. It just didn't make any sense. So I'd been at home, I didn't work. But one of the things that I, was able to do was to babysit. So there were a few, Nigerian families around that would need, to leave their children somewhere for two days, just twice a week during the day. So I became the babysitter, and then they started paying me. It wasn't like a structured format, anything. It was just, okay, yeah, I can watch your children. And then when they pick them up, okay, here, you'll give you something, and then I could mend clothes. So those were some of the things I did at home. So when the issue and the pressure of starting a business started mounting for my husband, I thought, you know what? I actually love being with children. And I could think back to even as far back as my high school days, at my church back then. I did not teach children's church, but after service, I'm always ready to go outside, and talk with the children and play with them and all that. And then I did that when I got here. So I thought, you know what? On my nursing job already, because I work with the palliative unit, I see people at the end of life. So I thought, you know what, why don't I get into a business that deals with them at the beginning of life, instead of starting a business that also still deals with them at the end of life. So then I'm stuck with end of life in both sides. And and immediately I thought about it, it just sat really well in my spirit. I just, you just feel this rush of joy and all that. So I got home, I said, you know what, SH, I figured out the business. And it's like, what? I said, the daycare is like, not in this house. I said, I know. Not in this house, but we'll find somewhere else for it. So that's how I got into business. I love what I do on both sides. I love being with the children. I love being with my patients and clients with the nursing thing. So if you have the flair for business, there's nothing wrong in doing it. But business is a lot of work. So business is a lot of work. You're managing your own time, but you realize you're still bringing work home. Whereas from your job, sometimes, like my nursing job, there's no work to bring home. I mean, there are professional development stuff. There are stuff I need to read up, but at my own time, kind of. But business, you're at home over the weekend, you're thinking of, oh, Monday, groceries, this and that. So, but it's still enjoyable if it's something you love.
Right. Yeah. Okay. So is that to say that you should count your costs before you take the step?
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. And if, sorry to add in there, if like 6-7 years ago, I wouldn't have gone into doing a daycare because my kids were still young. But now they're older. So it's a little bit easier for me to say, okay, you guys, do supper. I'll be late to get home or something like that. Yes. Yeah. So you need to be, as a woman, and today is International Women's Day, right? Yay. As a woman, there are certain things that we have to, not that we will stop doing it completely. I was listening to Mrs. Ibuka saying something about, oh, I gave up all of these things for you children. She said, who asked you to? And that's sincere truth, right? You might put some things on the shelf and do it later at an appropriate time, but as a woman, don't give up on your dreams. That's what I'm driving at. There will be seasons in your life that it will be easier to manage some, it's raising a family, being married and all that. And then there'll be another season that it's not doable. You'll have to stretch it out. Yeah. So I just thought I should drop that in there.
So identify your season and maximize your season. Yes. So, yeah. Just be content with your season as far as you're maximizing it. That's my take home from this. Just a quick advice to, let's say, someone looking to start a daycare wherever they are. What are basic non-negotiables that they should consider in counting their costs, in quotes, before what's the word?
Well, depending on their location, right? What applies in your location? Like here where we're both based in Saskatoon, if you're going to run a licensed daycare, there are certain things you need to know. You need to be there constantly. So it's licensing your name. You need to be in that facility. You get to take days off, but it's kind of like when you have a job and you have this number of vacations that you can take in a year. If you're doing it in your house, get ready for things getting broken. Kids break things. That's just who they are. So if you're running it in your home, you need to factor all of that into what space are you using? What are the ages of your children? You need to think of that. If your children still really need you right now and you want to start a daycare, you might limit the number of other children you can accept so that at least you still have time to do things. Mm-hmm. And when you run a daycare, 5 days of the week is like busy. So sometimes I remember a day when COVID shut things down, I kind of really didn't work nursing very well for a while. And I remember a day I finally had to go do something downtown. And it felt as if I haven't driven that road in ages. So sometimes running a daycare kind of keeps you at home. Your weekends, you're tired. All you want to do, like for me, all I want to do is church on Sunday. And then Saturday, I might be in a Zoom meeting too. Sometimes running a daycare can, if you're a very social person, then you will feel it. Because then you will have to let go of so many of your other social events that you would have.
Because your attention is focused on.
Yeah, but for me, the joy of being part of the growth of those children, I think it outweighs whatever else I think I'm missing. Yeah. But every business comes with its own
pros and cons. The pros should just be more than the cons so that it's not a toxic space for you.
Exactly.
Oh, wow. Thank you so much, Ma. My next question would be anyone that is just discouraged and questioning themselves, did I make the right decision coming to this country? What's your advice for such people?
You know, the Bible says, you know, if you're going to build the house, you should count the cost. But I say that with the knowledge of when it comes to relocation, you can count the cost all you like. Until you get to that location, there are certain things that you will still not know.
True.
You might come here thinking, oh, I have this amount of money. We've calculated our rent and feeding and everything, and we'll be fine for 6 months before we get a job. And then you land here and things are different from the picture that you've been painted.
True.
So counting the cost here is just counting the cost based on we've planned, because God wants us to plan, right? We're not supposed to just wake up and just go through each day.
Yeah.
You plan, but then you put that plan in God's hands. And then when you get to the place where you're going to, it's kind of like the journey of the Israelites, right? They left Egypt. God told them, I'm taking you to the promised land. But along the way, the water was bitter somewhere. There was no water somewhere. There was no food. Red Sea, you know. So all of those obstacles on the way are the things that we now have to depend solely on God to help us to cross. So when you get to relocate, you get to Canada or wherever you get to, there are certain things that you will see there that you did not expect. Number one, for us, most of us are immigrants. We claim that English is our first language in Nigeria. Until you leave Nigeria, that's when you realize, you might think it's your first language, but you have an accent. Yes. So you think your English is so perfect, you know, you speak very clearly and all of that, and then you get to your location. Number one is the accent. Number two is the different words. So we came to Canada, and all of a sudden, trousers is pants, and sweet is candy. And, you know, and all of those words, and at the beginning, you didn't know that. So you're talking to people, because I specifically remember myself at Frankfurt Airport trying to buy chips. Was it at Frankfurt or Toronto, wherever? I wanted to buy chips, but they didn't understand what I meant. So I had to point at the picture on the wall to tell them this is what I want to buy. And they said, oh, fries. You know, so, I mean, those are some of the things that you meet on ground that you're not prepared for. Your accent will be different. You're looking for jobs and your resume is so beautiful if you were looking for a job from your home country. But here now you're presenting that resume and it's like 3 pages and nobody is reading through it. Or they're looking at it and they tell you you're overqualified. You know, so those are some of the things you meet on ground that you are not really prepared for. And sometimes you might get here and realize, oh, I need to go take a certification course. And you're thinking, well, I've risen to the topmost rank in my profession back at home. Well, back at home runs differently from here.
Very.
I have a lot of friends that were nurses from Africa that came here. They've been nurses for years, and they came here and they still had to go upgrade. They still had to go take some extra classes before they could take the certification exam to practice as a nurse. Some of them, it took them 4 years, the amount of years it took me to get the degree here. I actually know someone that when it became too stressing, she stopped and she just applied and she went back to school and she was done nursing school in 3 years. And some of the people that they were in the process together of trying to regulate their certificates were not even done regulating theirs.
It was done.
So everybody must realize that my journey is individual. What is God leading me to do? Because when that lady told me, I was like, wow, I never thought of it that way. And she's done now. She's forgotten about being a student.
Mm-hmm.
So everybody needs to know that the journey to the promised land for each person will take you through your God custom-made hills and valleys.
Mm-hmm.
And for you to get to the promised land safely, you need to depend on God. God won't bring what you can't handle your way, right?
Very true.
If he brings the valley, that means he has given you the grace to figure out what to do with that valley. Okay. If he gives you a mountain, that means he has given you what it takes to, conquer that mountain.
Conquer the mountain. True.
So individual, you need to think about it. Number one, why did you leave your home country to go to diaspora? in search of greener pastures, God told you to, people told you to, whatever it is, that is a reason. When you get there are things you will have to face, and you have to face it knowing that, well, I've made the decision, I'm here now, how do I make here work for me? So you don't give up. Sometimes you might have to change profession, but it's not all the time. Some might have to go to school for a full course, the full degree. Some it might just be a certification 18-month program. Some it's a 12-month program. Some it's just an extra certification to add on to what they have already. So ask one thing, ask questions. People will give you advice, but when you're looking for advice, always make sure that you're going on reputable websites to search for advice. For example, now, if someone comes into Saskatoon now and they want to do nursing and they come talk to me, the first thing I will say to them is go to the University of Saskatchewan and ask to see a student advisor. Because I did this program almost 11 years ago. It has changed. The way it ran there is totally different from what they do now. The coursework might still be similar, but the process of getting into the College of Nursing is different. So I will give you advice that is outdated. So if anybody is referring you to a website to go find information, please go there and find it. Because sometimes people will give you information that is outdated and you might just feed on that, and then you get to a crossroad and you're like, oh, they deceived me. No.
Ignorance.
When you move to diaspora, North America, UK, all of these places, when you move there, if you've never been someone that, reads up things, goes on website to find information, you need to do that. Because everybody is busy, right? And
very true.
Busy, number one. Then number two, they might be giving you the wrong information. So you're better off finding the original source of that information yourself. Then if you now need help, yes, get someone to help you out. Yeah.
From the source. So thirst for knowledge. Thirst, is a continuous exercise. Keep thirsting for knowledge, for your field, for what it is that you have in mind to do. Keep thirsting for knowledge, and knowledge liberates, honestly. Ignorance is costly.
Oh, Lord.
Ignorance is very costly. Oh, well, thank you so much. I am grateful. I believe that the little things you've shared with us right now is what would reignite hope in someone's heart, is what will make someone go after that thing that they've given up on out of discouragement. The mountain is seemingly so big, and just listening to your story, someone coming in with a 5-month-old baby and still going after what she wanted to do. We have no excuse. That's just the summary. We have no excuse. And we should remember that God is by our side. That's amazing. Any final words before we play a short game?
Yeah, and not everybody has to go back to school. I think I've said that already.
Yes, you did.
Go out what God wants it to be. Some people that I know that I met here went into business and they're doing really good. But whatever you lay your hands on to do it well. Do it well, because number one, you're an immigrant. You might naturalize later and become a Canadian citizen or US citizen or whatever location you're at. But do whatever you're doing, do it well. Okay, do it well, because the gift of a man makes way for him. Whatever it is you're doing, fixing cars, and you're very good and you start your own workshop, do it well. Let people be able to say, oh, you have car issues, go to so, he will figure it out. You barb hair, do it very well, so people can say, oh, go to this person, they do a fantastic job. So excellence has to be, it has to show in everything we do.
Excellence. Thank you so much. I agree. I agree. And for you to be excellent, you should be open to accepting feedback as well. Because some people want to be excellent but are not open to accepting feedback. They take every form of feedback as an attack. Meanwhile, sometimes it's just genuine for you to improve and be better, which is very key. Thank you so much. It's like masterclass, compressed masterclass. Okay, I have a very short game. Very short, just like 4 this or that questions, like your preferences. These are random, nothing so serious. Okay. So I'll start. These or that questions. So would you rather take photos of yourself or video of yourself?
Interesting. I'm okay with both.
Okay.
Yeah, you see, back in the days, I always run away when it's time to take pictures. So shouldn't have even been there. But right now, I mean, with the two platforms that I run, and both of them are on Instagram, Christ in My Thoughts, Parenting with CIMT. I have no choice. I have to take pictures and I have to do videos.
Okay.
But for anything else, I might say no. But for those two things, I know I have no choice. And for church also, because we're live streaming, right? So
Sure.
Yeah.
You have to get comfortable with it.
Exactly.
I don't know if you can do this, but I'm just asking, would you rather cycle or would you rather take a walk?
I will walk, please. I don't ride
What
bicycle.
can you do? You
My husband has given up on that one.
Okay. So what would be your vacation preference?
My vacation spots now, because I don't know, maybe the person that wants to sponsor me will watch it. I want to go to the Bahamas.
Wow.
The reason I want to go is I'd always wanted to attend the leadership training at leadership conference that the late Dr. Miles Monroe. So I know he's dead, he's late, and but I know they still do it. And for me, I would just love to go to that place, just for memory of him, kind of with him. So yeah, so that's on my bucket list that I have to go to. Yeah.
In case you need a PA for the trip,
Sure.
I'll apply within. My last question, what's your favorite food?
I muted myself because my 9-year-old is here and she was going to help me answer that question. So my favorite food for a long while used to be, if you're from Nigeria, pounded yam, and it has to be draw soup. But after a while, I realized my favorite food is just food. As long as it tastes good, I'm fine. Yeah. Now, I don't think I have a favorite food. I think the only thing that I can't do without, if I will use that word, is hot chocolate. Especially at bedtime. I don't know. It's just a habit. I don't know.
Okay. Wow. Thank you so much. If you have any questions that you like her to answer, you can put it in the comment section, and I'll ask her and get back to you with the answers. It's been a privilege and an honor, as I mentioned earlier, having her here with us. 18 years. This is 18 years of wisdom compressed, and it's more than 18 years because she did us a favor of giving us backstory to understand her to understand her journey. She took us back, and we are very grateful for this. It was good having you here, and I will still apply within for Bahamas trip.
Bahamas, yes, Bahamas 2023.
Oh wow.